So tell me about these deals that flopped before this one came out successful. What deals have you flopped before this one?
Well, make you laugh. So, one of the first BOs I had ever talked to.
Yeah.
I've been on so many calls and had won so much swag from Nick. I was like, oh my God. Like, I feel like I said, I mean, I feel like I'm 22 months pregnant. I'm like, I am so overdue for a freaking deal. It's not even funny. So oddly enough, one of the first deals I had it was a BO that, now he wasn't advertising. I picked a niche that had like great CPC, great volume, like tons of like, just all the factors were there. But then in terms of like people advertising, it wasn't too much. Like it's in concrete, and like, it seemed like the guys that were advertising were more commercial. And so, as we know, like our model really doesn't lend itself to that many commercial deals in terms of the advertising. Anyway, so I had to like kind of scrape the bottom of the barrel from the beginning, and I was going through like Facebook groups, and I got this BO, and I hooked him, and I was sending him leads. And then lo and behold, the one day he got on the phone with me, he's like, I just want to let you know this isn't going to work. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, my wife does my marketing and basically like does my leads. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is brand new news. Anyway, bottom line, this became like a thing, like where she was like literally, like these are like kids in like their 20s or 30s, but bottom line, like in their like little mini business, he's the one who was like doing the concrete, a little one-man band, and she was supposed to be getting him business. And clearly by my coming in and working with him, he basically shamed her psychologically by saying, oh yeah, I could use more deals and I can take more business. And she's like, that's what I'm supposed to do. And I'm like thinking like, well, I mean, he just said he wants more business. Like this became like a little, literally like crazy love triangle. And I'm like, she's literally yelling at me on the phone. We don't need you. And da-da-da. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, listen, I'm like, hey, more power to you. So it was just kind of funny because, I hadn't even gotten like to the close. I sent him like these really great deals and all, like, but she just got so jealous. It just really highlighted how she was falling short and wasn't doing her job. But so
Right.
that was number one.
Yeah, you were basically shining the light in this opportunity, but that was so. The bottom line here is it wasn't the right person because they were not paying for leads.
100%. It's not about smelling desperations, but it's about acting like desperation, And so everybody knows. How many times have you said doing the due diligence is important? Picking the right city, picking the right niche. Because like I did do like a flop. Like, my other pre-flop before that was I had actually had an organic site. I thought I had enough search volume, and I didn't. And so I was paying for leads, and that wasn't connecting. So that didn't work. And then this one. So now it's really about vetting the BO is so important on the front end. And I know Nick uses the terms about like using the pullback. It's just really kind of reinforcing, being like, hey, where are you now and where do you want to go? We always go like, are you hungry? Are you hungry? Like, no business owner's gonna be like, no, I'm not hungry. Like, they really don't like to say like they're good, because they kind of, I think a lot of them don't like to say that because they're almost admitting that they're not in that mentality.
Right.
But I think it's about kind of like you can get to the destination, you just have to go a different way. You have to ask different questions. And with every little conversation with them, maybe like get one nugget. One of the questions I like to ask them is like, what keeps you awake at night related to your business? I mean, like, look, I don't want to hear about your personal life, your marriage, but like in terms of business, what keeps you up at night? Because that's going to be like, or like, what's your biggest speed bump in your world? What's going on in your world? And I even did like the other thing too, I will tell you, like I learned in my years of recruiting, a lot of people think like when you close the deal, like, okay, I got my deal. Like, yeah, I'm done. And I think, it's really important. Like there's something, we always called it in recruiting, there's the post sell. And the post sell is you want to prevent the buyer's remorse. It's a little bit of a stroke. Think about a big purchase you made or your wife made, like a big one, like a 4-figure, 5-figure something. And then you're like, oh man, I bought it. Like it's not a $20 pair, $20 scarf. I mean, I'm talking about a big purchase. And you're like, oh man, should I really have done this? And then so that, we want to nip that in the bud. The way the screencast wants to overcome the objections, we want to prevent buyer's remorse from ever happening. It's almost like a pre-cold, like we're like, it's like the emergency. Like we want to get in there and prevent that from happening. So look at like, you want to tell people like, oh, you did a great job and this is how you're going to crush it. And this is how you're going to get to your goals. So that from all those questions, when you ask, what's keeping you up at night? What's happening here? And I did a little bit of that yesterday with my deal, because one of the biggest hurdles my current business owner has is that he just lost his scheduler because oddly enough, it's his fiance / new baby mama. And because I have background in HR hiring and recruiting, I'm like, I know it's a nightmare. And that's a time sucker. I don't know if you've ever tried to hire somebody. A lot of people here in the groups have like done VAs, and we all know you don't do this in 20 minutes. I mean, like literally, if you follow the people because I'm a big proponent of Dan Martell, by the way. But Martell talks about a lot of other people, like people who really want to scale, realize that scaling your team and putting the right cheeks in the right seats is literally just as important as getting the right BOs.